Hi, welcome to Freezer Meals 101. I'm Christy.
And I'm Charla, and today we're excited to share with you some secrets that we've discovered over the years of how to save money. Not only do freezer meals save money by themselves, just by virtue of how they are, and we're going to share with you how they save you money, but we've also found some tips and tricks that have saved us even more money. And grocery prices are getting crazy.
It's crazy everywhere. Gas prices are rising, grocery prices are rising. It's everywhere in the headlines. Shrinkflation is a thing, and we're all aware of it just through media. But when you're actually at the grocery store and you're seeing it with your own eyes, you're thinking, how can we overcome this? How can we make that dollar stretch a little more?
So we're hoping today that the tips that we share with you, combined with you doing freezer meals, will really take down your family's monthly grocery budget. And I know that that's going to be something that reduces your stress and helps you out. So let's get started.
Sounds good.
So one of the ways that freezer meals save you money is that you're able to take advantage of the sales in a way that you normally wouldn't be able to. If you see that hamburger or chicken or any meat is on for a huge discount, normally you would only really be able to buy enough to make that week's worth of meals, or you might be able to buy some and like throw it in your freezer, but I don't know if you've ever thrown just plain chicken breasts in your freezer. You might as well be throwing them in the garbage.
Yeah, and then 6 months later, you're like, oh, I should have really done something with these.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you turn that meat into freezer meals and then freeze it, you don't get that freezer burn, you don't have things go to waste, and you're able to take full advantage of that sale.
And you're going to use it. And you're going to use it.
Yep.
Yes.
So
It's already done for you. It's so nice.
It's so nice.
It's taking meal planning to the next level.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and meal planning definitely saves you money.
Yep. So also, you go to the grocery store way less often. Even though we've got 7 kids, got a big family, I rarely have to go to the grocery store. Like, I go less than once a week to the grocery, which is crazy, but it's true because I have all of our meals, and I even do most of our snacks and breakfasts ahead and have those in the freezer too. So there's not a lot of reason for me to go to the grocery store. And when you're going into the grocery store, you know how it is. You just have to pick up a few items, but
and you have a cart full and you're like, how did this happen? Or for me, I go about once a week, maybe less than once a week. So it's produce that we're picking up, milk and cereal. Cereal has really gotten we should learn how to do freezer meal cereal. I don't know how to do that, but cereal has shot through the roof. And my kids eat a lot of it because they're teenagers, and teenagers just eat
like their cereal.
Yeah. So going ahead on ordering online, that helps me save because I can watch the sales, but also if it's on my list, it happens. If I'm walking in the aisles,
I know.
That's when you pick up the extras, I find.
Yeah, it's just like, especially if you go hungry. Obviously, don't go grocery shopping hungry. That might be a tip you already know. But when you're there, hungry or not, there's just those things that seem like a good idea at the time.
You really don't need them.
No.
Yes. And maybe sometimes there's things I forget that I need when I'm doing it online because maybe they weren't on my list. But
yeah,
you make it through. You make it through without. And budgeting, keeping it within budget, like it's okay if you run out of something and go without it for a few days until your next trip to the grocery store.
And use what you have. Like a lot of times when we're making freezer meals, we will go to our fridge, our pantry, and our gardens even, and use what we already have. And make meals, like plan our meals around that, or invent recipes with what we have. So I know this next mega session that we're gonna be doing, I'm gonna put a link right up there to one of our most recent mega marathons for freezer cooking. We do 3 months at a time. And so you can see how we do that. But the next one that we have coming up, which is it's coming pretty soon. So we're already planning for it. But one of the things we did is I found a bunch of, because I had bought it at a case lot sale, which we'll talk about it in a bit, some cream corn. And so we're going to be doing corn chowder because I don't want that to expire. And I'm very aware of expiry dates and all of that. But because I noticed that, we're getting up there with that cream corn, we have to make corn chowder at this next freezer meal session, which isn't sad.
That's not sad at all. We usually make it anyway, but now it's like, ooh, shucks, we have to use it.
Exactly.
I don't know about you, but do you ever like buy lettuce and then put it in your crisper in the fridge and then you're just gonna throw it out like in 2 weeks and it's a sloppy mess and you're washing your bins? Sometimes it happens with broccoli. Sometimes it happens with carrots. I'm having a problem with my fridge right now. I have cold spots in my fridge. And my carrots will freeze in my fridge. When you're doing freezer meals and you put some of your produce right into your freezer meal, that's taken care of. I actually buy way less produce. I don't need to buy carrots. I don't need to buy onions. Actually, there will be times where I think, I'm just going to cook something and I go to make it and I don't have onions in the house because all of our onions are in our freezer meals. It's actually kind of funny.
And the carrots and the peppers, and you can, there's so much in terms of vegetables and snap peas, and we use a lot of vegetables in our freezer cooking, and so they don't go bad in our crisper.
No, they really don't. So it really is a cost savings that way because we don't have that sloppy clean out the bottom of your crisper problem, except for the lettuce. Do you know what I've started to do? It's a little more expensive, but because I'm saving money in other areas, I buy the lettuce kits. The ones at Costco are cheap. I buy the ones at Costco are pretty cheap. Dill pickle salad at Costco. And it's all right there, and that makes sure that we're eating it, right?
Yeah.
And that way, if we have a freezer meal that isn't super loaded with vegetables, I can still balance out my meal a little bit.
Before I did freezer meals, I was trying to save money by meal planning. And so it's kind of a similar concept where I would write down 5 recipes that I was going to make that week. And so I would grocery shop based on the meal plan. And, that is a good way to save money in theory. But what would happen for me is that I would get the stuff home. And the first day I would do well. I would stick to the meal plan. And the second day we would have some kind of thing happen.
You had soccer, you had softball, you had...
Or a mini crisis. One of our kids had to go to the hospital, or which happens to us more than most people. But or whatever, or just a friend invites you over and you go to a play date and you're there for longer than you think you're going to be there. And by the time you get home, there isn't time to make the meal that you had planned in the meal plan, so you make something else, you order pizza or whatever, and so you don't stick with the meal plan. And towards the end of the week, you realize you've got all this produce that's going bad in your crisper, and you wasted all that money, and you had good intentions.
I am the queen of good intentions.
But
it happens.
It didn't work.
So freezer meals makes it happen because it's already made, and it's just sometimes just a reheat. Sometimes it's cooking it. You let it thaw and you cook it. You take it out in the morning. It's thawed by 5 o'clock, so you get home late from the play date. So you're just eating a little bit later instead of thinking, now I have to chop peppers.
Totally. Everything's already done. Mm-hmm. And having the meals actually made, you're still meal planning, but then you're making the meals all at once, and then they're just ready for you to take out and cook up. One of the things that I really noticed once I started making freezer meals and looking at our budget is that I was spending less money in general, and that's because I wasn't doing pizza delivery, I wasn't ever having to do takeout, or I wasn't doing fast food drive-through with the kids, and I wasn't even getting the convenience foods that are kind of pre-packaged and you can just quickly put them together. Because
the salads, still get those.
Well, that's a side dish. I'm talking more the full convenience
hamburger helper, those days are done.
Yeah, and now I'm getting I already have my own convenience foods. It doesn't get more convenient than already made and ready and
And it's generally going to be healthier. There's going to be less sodium. We're in control of our own ingredients. It's going to be fresher. So how do we shop for groceries?
Okay, so we divide our list, and Christy does the Costco and Bulk Barn. We do Bulk Barn for seasonings and a few other things, but usually just seasonings.
Mm-hmm.
And then Costco, there's certain things that are cheaper there.
Costco isn't always cheaper.
Nope.
But once you get to know, you get to know.
Absolutely. And so, and then I do the local grocery store. But we plan our big mega sessions around 15% off days. So our local grocery store offers 15% off on the first Tuesday of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we'll go shopping on the Tuesday, we'll do our prep on the Tuesday, and then we'll assemble the Wednesday and Thursday.
Yes. In the States, you will see a lot of couponers. Canada isn't as big on the couponing. Not the way, remember there used to be TV shows about extreme couponing? That really has never been a thing here, but
I have couponed, and I had a coupon binder and all of that, but it's not as frequent. We don't get the same amount of coupons here that you do in the US, so it's not something that we can take advantage of with the freezer cooking as much. But what we do that saves a ton of money is that we plan our freezer meals around what's on sale. So we go to the flyers and we see what's on sale, and then we're able to choose recipes accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you are in the Freezer Meals 101 Club, then you can type in the ingredient that is super on sale, and it'll pull up recipes for you with that ingredient. Or let's say ground beef is on sale, you can click one button and it'll show you every ground beef recipe. And then you can make your shopping list with just those recipes, and you can generate a custom shopping list in there. So the link for the Freezer Meals 101 Club is down below. You'll want to check that out because that will make freezer cooking easy, simple.
we take the hard part out of the freezer cooking, and it's the brain work. When we do it, Charlotte does it, because I'm a worker, not a thinker. How about that, huh? We got the thinker right here. She's the ideal lady. So along with the flyers, there's apps. There's apps that you can use that are also act as flyers. There's a Flip app that you can use, and our grocery store will even let you do, what is it called?
Price matching.
Price matching. So
Price matching.
So you can just show the cashier, no, here you can see at this grocery store, this is on sale, and they will match that price. So that is something that you can do. There in Canada, there's an app called Flash Foods. It is through Loblaws, which, as far as we can tell, it's not in the States except for a very limited area.
Boston, I think, right?
Buffalo.
Oh, Buffalo.
It was in Buffalo, New York. You look and see if you can get Flash Food for Buffalo, New York. But it's all across Canada, except in the Maritimes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Maritimes. And you can get 50% off of stuff. It is a tremendous savings, but it's kind of a little known secret. My sister-in-law put it in the moms group that I'm in on Facebook, and people are like, shh, don't tell everybody, it's our little secret. So it's that good. It's that good. And you can do tremendous amount of savings. Again, you're kind of going with what's on sale at the time, so you're limited. But if you really want to save your money, that is a great way to do it.
You can plan around that. And speaking of the moms groups, another way to save money is to get into a community Facebook group that has information about sales
in your local area.
Yeah, because we're in some of those, but it doesn't help us to tell you about those because you probably don't live in our area. But find a group that is local to your community that is about grocery savings, and that can be a great source of information. People can say, I saw this is for sale at such and such a store. Sometimes it's not in the flyer because it's not across all their stores. It's just one specific store.
Yes.
Also, there's, what's that called, the produce place?
H&W?
H&W is more local to here, again. But that's something where they have produce.
It's a discount grocery store, basically.
Yeah. And so you can find out about those things. And there's somebody in our local group that used to be a butcher, and he posts about meat sales that he sees in the flyers and what is actually a good deal and what isn't. And I really appreciate that because I don't know that. I was never a butcher. You know? Yeah.
No, that's a great idea. That's good. So we take advantage of the case lot sales. We watch the flyers and we use our apps the best that we can. We go to Costco. When I go to Costco, okay, listen to this about Costco. When you go to Costco and you go to the meat counter, up above the windows where you would order or talk to the workers behind the meat counter, there is a warehouse pack list that is better pricing than is what is in the trays in the coolers out in front. So for example, if you wanted 6 trays of chicken, boneless, skinless chicken breasts, you can get it at a discounted rate because you're buying a pack of 6. So you go to the window and you talk to the butcher people and say, I would like to get a warehouse pack of 6 or chicken breasts, chicken, boneless, skinless chicken thighs. They also do it, I don't think they do it for salmon, but they will do it for ground beef, but you have to buy like a lot. It's like 27 kilos of ground beef, and I'm like, we're just not there. Like we haven't.
But if you're getting together a group of 4 of you or 6 of you to do freezer meals,
definitely talk to them.
Totally.
And they will just put it together for you. You do a little bit of shopping, you come back for it, and you do have quite a bit of savings that way. And do you know what? Make good friends with your meat manager at your local grocery store. They can chop chicken for you if you give them enough notice. So you can save time in your prep. If you go in and say, I need 12 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breast, but I would like it chopped. And they will do it for you. They're butchers. That's what they do.
When we do our massive cooks, I have called ahead and pre-ordered the meat. And they appreciate that because otherwise
sometimes you're cleaning them out.
But also you can ask them for a discount when you do that. It doesn't hurt to ask. Like my mom always taught me, it doesn't hurt to ask.
Sometimes the answer is no, but it's never going to be yes if you don't ask.
Totally.
One other thing that you can do, especially in terms of meat, is go near the end of the day when they are cleaning out the meat coolers, because those things, sometimes they will freeze them and put them on a major sale, and they will say they're previously frozen, you take them home and freeze them, or you have to cook them today, sort of thing. I have honestly been there when they are going to throw that out, and I've gotten it for free. Now, he wasn't going to let me fill my cart and that I could take every single piece of packaged meat that was there. I would have if he'd have let me. But you can go and sometimes get little extras. Do you know what? We cook our ground beef. If you got ground beef, throw it in your freezer, save it for your next freezer meals. Absolutely. There are ways to save. You just really have to be intentional about it.
Now, when it comes to things like buying in bulk and case lot sales, or actually just groceries in general, you really just have to be aware of your prices. And that's something that for some reason my brain does not math, but it does grocery prices. I don't know why.
It really does. And I'm terrible at it. In fact, I took a shopping course one time from a lady that I found on a Facebook site about saving money, about budgeting. But it was a grocery course, and she, at that time, she was living in our area. She actually had a little book that you could buy that had the best prices for cheese or for, Campbell's tomato soup. And if it's above this price, she didn't buy it. And she's like, did you know you could freeze cheese? Did you know you could freeze ketchup? Did you know? And she's like, she would often buy store brand, but there were things that she just couldn't get past. Like she had to buy brand name ketchup, but she knew when it would go on sale. Groceries are cyclical in their sale. And she said, nobody is going to remember all of these prices. But if you can get your cheese, X amount of grams for this amount of money, it's a good sale, and you go and you clean them out. There's ways to do it. You just got to get creative, and you have to pay attention, and you put in that little bit of prep work at the front end, and you will save money.
Now, one of the things that we discovered is that, now, this is not necessarily true for your area, so I'm telling you to look at your prices, but I'm just kind of giving you an idea of like what you can figure out if you're really conscious of the prices, is that it was cheaper for us to buy the mozzarella cheese pre-shredded in the big giant pre-shredded
the Costco
shredded
bags
bag than it was to buy it and shred it ourselves. But for cheddar cheese, it was considerably less expensive to shred it ourselves. I'm going to stick a video right there showing you how to shred like massive amounts of cheese at one time and have it not clump together and all of that. So Christy's in that video showing you how. But seriously, that was something where like we would have thought that it's always going to be cheaper to get it and shred it yourself.
Right.
But in our area, again, check your area. Don't take my word for this because I can't say that this is like across the board. But in our area, it's cheaper to buy the pre-shredded mozzarella cheese than to shred it ourselves.
I was standing there in Costco with my calculator and I'm like, I can't believe I'm seeing this, but I'm gonna buy the shredded cheese. I texted her and I'm like, you're not gonna believe this. For life, we are buying shredded mozzarella.
Totally. And then with the case lot sales and things like that too, it's like sometimes crazy, but sometimes it's actually cheaper to buy individual cans. And for me, like sometimes I'm buying 20 of them or, you know, a full dozen or whatever, but sometimes it's cheaper to buy that than to buy the case lot. But sometimes the case lot is so much cheaper and you just kind of break it down, you know, and if you need to pull out a calculator, most phones have a calculator on them, so you usually have one with you, and you can figure out like per unit how much is it and versus how much it is on the shelf. And you know, in our area, once or twice a year, the case lot sale corresponds with 15% off day.
Cha-ching!
And we know what we use a lot of. And so then even if we don't have a freezer meal session coming up like super soon, like it might be 2 more months till our next session, I stock up, like hugely stock up.
That's why we have so much cream corn.
Exactly. Because I got it at a case lot sale that also was 15% off. And like, this is like, we're talking pennies on the dollar here. Like this is worth it to stock up. Now, when you're first starting, you might not be able to stock up because you have to have money to be able to buy large quantities of things.
Yeah.
But
buying 3 months of groceries at one time is not cheap for us.
No.
And we're pretty privileged to be in that position where we can do that. But when you are buying it and slowly building up your freezer meal amount, using these tips, sock that a little extra money away so that you can do a bigger meal planning, a bigger freezer meal session down the road if you have it in you.
I know that my husband and I did the math years ago, and we had saved so much money by doing freezer meals that I was actually able to buy a second stand-up freezer so that we could stock more. And like, that's a huge savings for me to be able to do that and justify that. But it just made sense because this just saved us so much money. And our grocery bills, like to feed 9 of us, they were huge grocery bills. Not to mention that on top of that, we were also stopping by to get takeout here and there and pizza delivery and all those kinds of things because I was so frazzled and could not get the supper thing figured out.
Yeah.
And I was also hard on myself about, like, it felt like these other moms could figure out how to feed their families, and I always felt like I was scrambling. Like every day at 4 o'clock, I was like, it was like this reminder that I'm a failure because at 4 o'clock, seriously, you know, you remember like, oh, I forgot to take something out for supper, and like, oh, I don't know what we're having for supper, and you're looking through the pantry and you don't have enough. And when we had lots of little kids, I would have to take them. We only had one vehicle, so my husband would have the vehicle at work, and I would have to walk with the kids. Like I had like one in a backpack carrier and one in a stroller, and like once a couple walking. Like at one point when we were foster parents, I had like 5 kids, 5 and under. And so I would walk all these kids to the grocery store to get just a few ingredients that I was missing to make a meal. And then again, it's that reminder of like, I should have planned better. Like, I can't figure this out. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, when am I ever going to be able to get supper on the table properly? And now, like, I never have that thought. It's just always like, I open the freezer, and even all these years later, I'm like, like, it's just
Angels
like amazing.
No.
It
does feel good. So put some planning into it, pull up your bootstraps and get to work and save some money and fill your freezer and take that load off. And you can do it. You can do it like us. Please write to us below in the comments and tell us how you save money. Hey, Australians and Europeans, we want to hear how you do it. We have American TV, we're in Canada, so we have our way. We know about the couponing in America. How do you do it in Europe, like in tight tight huge cities like London, where you walk every day to get your groceries because that's how your communities are set up. There isn't the urban sprawl. I'm so curious how you shop and how you think about things like freezer meals.
Totally. And even for our other like Canadian and American viewers, like, tell us in the comments so that you can tell everyone else that's watching, like, what is in your area that helps you to save. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're in the States, you might not have the Flash Foods app, but do you have an app that you can use that
is tied to a national chain?
Yeah, totally. Because let's help each other out. We're all in this position of, rising grocery prices and the stress that brings for families, and even just if you're living on your own, it's still like, oh my goodness, the prices are just going so high. Like, Christy and I have these conversations where I'll be like, the same pack of chicken that was $11 is $13, and it was just like 2 weeks ago, and it just is like, So it's real, and we're all in this together. So let's share our best tips and ideas. So in the comments below, just like, let us know what you're doing to save money and tips that you have for others to help them save money. Thank you for joining us today.
Sorry we didn't cook anything for you.
Like, this is totally different than the videos that we usually do. We're usually cooking for you, but
And all our videos are from the heart, but this one is from the heart because we are all experiencing it. So we're glad that you're with us, and just keep your head up and keep cooking.
We will put a video there to like something more normal, where we're actually cooking and showing you how to make freezer meals and how to pull this off. But yeah, thanks for joining us. And it feels weird to say happy cooking because we're like, we didn't cook, but
happy saving.
Oh, you got it. Happy saving.